Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
And now Chapter 18, Devotional Service, the Final Perfection. Text 43. Jnana Vairagya Yuktena Bhakti Yogena Yogena Shemaya Pada Mulame Pravishantya Kutobayam. Translation. The yogis, equipped with transcendental knowledge and renunciation, and engaged in devotional service for their eternal benefit, take shelter at my lotus feet, and since I am the Lord, they are thus eligible to enter into the kingdom of Godhead without fear. Purport. One who wants to be liberated from the entanglement of this material world and go back home, back to Godhead, is actually a mystic yogi. The words explicitly used here are Yuktena Bhakti Yogena. Those yogis, or mystics, who engage in devotional service are first-class yogis. They are described in Bhagavad Gita as constantly thinking of the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. These yogis are not without knowledge and renunciation. To become a bhakti yogi means to automatically attain knowledge and renunciation. That is the consequent result of bhakti yoga. In the Bhagavatam, 1st canto, 2nd chapter, it is also confirmed that one who engages in devotional service of Vasudeva, Krishna, has complete transcendental knowledge and renunciation, and there is no further explanation for these attainments. Ahaituki, without reason they come. Even if a person is completely illiterate, the transcendental knowledge of the Scriptures is revealed unto him because of his devotion. To anyone who has full faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the Spiritual Master, all the import of the Vedic literatures is revealed. One doesn't have to seek separately. The yogis who engage in devotional service are full in knowledge and renunciation. If there is a lack of knowledge and renunciation, it is to be understood that one is not engaged in full devotional service. The conclusion is that one cannot be sure of entrance into the spiritual realm in either the impersonal Brahmajyoti effulgence of the Lord or the Vaikuntha planets within that Brahman effulgence unless he is surrendered unto the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. The surrendered souls are called Akutobaya. They are doubtless and fearless, and their entrance into the spiritual kingdom is guaranteed. Devotional service is most important because there is danger in every step in this material world. At any moment, our life can be finished. We may be walking along very nicely, but at some moment we may slip and break our neck. Therefore, this planet is called Martyaloka, the planet of death, the place where death is a certainty. Regardless of how strong or healthy one may be, one cannot avoid death. One may exercise on the beach daily, but one may die at any moment. There is no guarantee. Everyone wants health and security, but actually there is no security. There is simply a struggle for existence. People are struggling for security, but in reality, this is all foolishness. People are always fearful because they have forgotten or rejected Krishna. We have forgotten that we are Krishna's eternal servants, His eternal parts and parcels, and that we have a most intimate relationship with Him. In the material world, we are situated in asat, a non-permanent situation. When a child has lost his father and mother, he is always in a fearful condition. He cries in the street, "Where is my father? Where is my mother?" If we no longer want to be in such a fearful condition, we have to take shelter at the lotus feet of Krishna. Krishna is begging us to come to Him because we are all His sons. He says, "You are rotting here by repeatedly committing sins. You are changing from one body to another. And you are thinking that you are a human being, an American, this or that. The next moment you may become a dog or an insect." People are always thinking that they are secure, and this is called Maya, illusion. Knowledge, jnana, means understanding our relationship with Krishna. A wise man asks, "What is my duty to Krishna?" Once we understand our relationship with Krishna and our duty to Him, we naturally become reluctant to engage in material activities. This is called vairagya, detachment from material activities. Jnana and vairagya can be awakened by bhakti yoga. Bhakti means surrender unto Krishna. Without surrendering to Krishna, we cannot understand our situation. Krishna reserves the right of not being exposed to fools and rascals. He is simply meant for the devotees. We cannot understand Krishna without becoming devotees. Material life means sex. People work hard all day in order to have a little sex at night. In the material world, everyone is suffering from the sharp arrow of Cupid. Madan, Cupid, shoots his arrow into men and women to make them mad after one another. However, when one actually sees Krishna, he sees Madana Mohan, the charmer of Cupid. Then one is no longer pierced by Cupid's arrow. This means that one actually becomes fearless. One can then enter into bhakti yoga and renounce this material world. According to the Shastras, there is Shreyas and Preyas. Shreyas is the ultimate goal. We should act in such a way that ultimately we will become happy. However, if we want immediate happiness and disregard the future, we want Preyas. Preyas is for unintelligent people and children. A child enjoys playing all day. He does not want to be sent to school to be educated. Education is Shreyas, the ultimate goal. No one is interested in this. The Shastras instruct us to aim for Shreyas and not be captivated by Preyas. The supreme Shreyas is Bhakti Yoga. In the material world, we are struggling for existence with the hope that someday in the future we will be happy. Yet we are bewildered. An animal in the desert sees a mirage, a shadow of water, and he runs after this shadow again and again. He runs further and further, and in this way, as he crosses the hot sands, he becomes more and more thirsty, and he finally dies. Our struggle for existence is like this. We are thinking, let me go a little further. There will be water eventually. There will eventually be happiness. Yet there is no water in the desert. Those who are unintelligent, who are like animals, seek happiness in the desert of the material world. This false attachment has to be given up by the process of bhakti yoga. This must be taken up very seriously, not artificially. Krishna, in all seriousness, wants to see whether one has finished all his material desires. When Krishna sees this, he is very pleased. We are actually busy with dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. But when we transcend these, bhakti begins. If we study the history of the world, we see that it is simply a history of struggle. Mankind attempts to relieve its miserable condition, but it simply brings about another miserable condition. As we try to overcome one problem, another problem arises. Our determination to renounce our association with this material world is called mukti. Mukti means coming to the spiritual platform. Since we belong to the spiritual atmosphere, it is impossible for us to be happy in the material atmosphere. If a land animal is placed in water, he will simply struggle for existence, despite being an expert swimmer. We have come into this material world to gratify our senses, but our attempts will never be successful. If we actually want to attain a state beyond fear, we have to accept this bhakti yoga process enunciated by Lord Kapila Dev. Text 44. Etavan eva lokesmin humsam nishreyasodaya tivrena bhakti yogena manomayarpitam stiram. Translation. Therefore, persons whose minds are fixed on the Lord engage in the intensive practice of devotional service. That is the only means to attain the final perfection of life. Here the words mano mayarpitam, which mean the mind being fixed on me, are significant. One should fix his mind on the lotus feet of Krishna or his incarnation. To be fixed steadily in that freedom is the way of liberation. Ambarish Maharaj is an example. He fixed his mind on the lotus feet of the Lord. He spoke only on the pastimes of the Lord. He smelled only the flowers and tulsi offered to the Lord. He walked only to the temple of the Lord. He engaged his hands in cleansing the temple. He engaged his tongue in tasting the foodstuff offered to the Lord. And he engaged his ears in hearing the great pastimes of the Lord. In this way, all his senses were engaged. First of all, the mind should be engaged at the lotus feet of the Lord, very steadily and naturally. Because the mind is the master of the senses, when the mind is engaged, all the senses are engaged. That is Bhakti Yoga. Yoga means controlling the senses. The senses cannot be controlled in the proper sense of the term. They are always agitated. This is true also with a child. How long can he be forced to sit down silently? It is not possible. Even Arjuna said, Chanchalam hi mana Krishna. The mind is always agitated. The best course is to fix the mind on the lotus feet of the Lord. Mano mayarpitam stiram. If one seriously engages in Krishna consciousness, that is the highest perfectional stage. All Krishna conscious activities are on the highest perfectional level of human life. This verse marks the conclusion of Bhakti Yoga as described by Lord Kapila Dev to his mother. Bhakti Yoga is the business of one advanced in Jnana Vairagya, knowledge, and renunciation. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya has explained Bhakti Yoga as Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga begins when we accept Krishna's instructions. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja, which means, quote, abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me, unquote. From the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, verse 66. We have to renounce all material engagements and accept the lotus feet of Krishna. We are making one plan after another to be happy in this material world, but this place is certified by the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Dukhalayam Ashashvatam, a place of misery. This material world is actually meant for misery, just as a prison house is meant for punishment. Once we attain our constitutional position of Brahma Bhuta, we can enter the kingdom of God, the spiritual world. By Karma Yoga, we attempt to get out of the gross body, and by Jnana Yoga, we attempt to get out of the subtle body. But by Bhakti Yoga, we can directly transcend both the subtle body, the mind, intelligence, and ego, and the gross material body. Then we can be situated on the spiritual platform in our original spiritual body. As long as we are in the subtle and gross bodies, we are suffering under the three modes of material nature. Once we enter into the devotional service of the Lord, we are immediately situated on the platform of Brahma Bhuta. Aham Brahmasmi, or I am Brahman, is simply theoretical knowledge. But when one actually renders devotional service, one is situated in practical knowledge. Then one is no longer on the material platform, but on the Brahman platform. Prahlad Maharaj rendered the best service to his father, Hiranyakashipu, by having him killed by Lord Nrsingadev. Superficially, it appeared that Prahlad Maharaj did not help his father, but this was not the case. In the Shastras it is said that if a person, even though a demon, is killed by God, he is immediately liberated. Prahlad Maharaj was thinking, my father is so sinful and so much opposed to God consciousness that he might not be liberated. After Lord Nrsinga killed Hiranyakashipu, Prahlad Maharaj told the Lord, my dear Lord, may I ask one thing from you? My father was a great atheist, and he committed many offenses at your lotus feet. Now you have killed him. I request that he be excused and be given liberation. Actually, Hiranyakashipu was already liberated, yet his affectionate son was anxious to know whether he was liberated or not. It is confirmed by the Lord that not only does a Vaishnava's father, but everyone for 21 generations before a Vaishnava receives liberation. Thus, by serving the Lord, one renders the best service to his family, because 21 generations are liberated if one becomes a pure Vaishnava. The yogi's real business is to focus his mind on Krishna. That is the real yoga system. There are many gymnastics performed by yogis, but all this is recommended for those who are overly concerned with the body. Rendering service to Krishna 24 hours daily is called Bhakti Yoga, and that is real samadhi. People are working hard day and night to enjoy some results. A person in Bhakti Yoga works hard day and night, but offers the results to Krishna. There is a great difference between a bhakti yogi and an ordinary karmi. Ordinary karmis cannot understand that the bhaktas are on the transcendental platform. As we have stated before, there are innumerable forms of God: Ram, Nrsimha, Varaha, Krishna, Kapila Dev, Balaram, and so on. Sometimes foolish people ask, "You are worshipping Krishna. Why don't you worship Ram?" Actually, there is no difference between Krishna and Ram, but everyone has his preference. For instance, Hanuman was particularly devoted to Lord Ramchandra. The gopis are exclusively devoted to Lord Krishna. This does not make any real difference. The Lord appears in different forms, but in all cases, He is the Lord. Once Krishna left the gopis and changed into his four-handed Vishnu form. The gopis went out searching for Krishna, and when they saw the four-handed Vishnu form, they did not offer much respect. They simply wanted to see Krishna. Actually, there is no difference between Krishna and Vishnu, but every devotee has a particular inclination. In the Vaishnava Sampradaya, some devotees worship Radha Krishna, and others worship Sita Ram and Lakshmi Narayan. Some also worship Rukmini Krishna. All of these are the same, and all of the devotees are Vaishnavas. Whether one chants Hare Krishna or Hare Rama, it is not very important. Worship of the demigods, however, is not recommended. In any case, Bhakti Yoga begins with hearing, Shravanam Kirtanam. After one has heard from the right source and is convinced, one will automatically perform Kirtan. Kirtan means glorification. Kirtan is preaching, glorifying, and speaking about the Lord. Parikshit Maharaj attained perfection simply by listening to Srimad Bhagavatam. This is Shravanam Kirtanam. Parikshit Maharaj was listening, and Shukdev Goswami was performing Kirtan by describing the glories of the Lord. Prithu Maharaj simply worshipped the Lord, and Lakshmi Devi massaged Vishnu's lotus feet. Arjun made friends with the Lord, and Hanuman carried out the orders of Lord Ramachandra. Bali Maharaj offered everything he had to the Lord in the form of Vamanadev, and after he had offered all his possessions, he offered his body. There are many examples, but at the present moment, if we simply hear about Krishna, that is sufficient. God has given us ears, and we need only go to a realized soul and hear about Krishna from him. This is the process recommended for this age, because people are very fallen and are uneducated. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recommends that we search out a devotee regardless of our position. There is no need to change our position. It is better to remain where we are and simply hear about Krishna. The Krishna consciousness movement is meant to give everybody an opportunity to hear about Krishna. Krishna is within everyone's heart, and as soon as he sees that one is interested in him, he helps. This is the beginning of bhakti. Even if we do not understand this philosophy, we will be purified if we hear what Krishna says. This is the whole process of Hari Sankirtan. One doesn't even have to understand what this Hare Krishna is. One only has to hear to be purified. Unless one is purified, one cannot understand God. There are many contaminations within the heart, and the people in this age are engaged in many sinful activities: illicit sex, meat eating, intoxication, and gambling. The whole world is revolving about these things, yet despite this, we have to spread this Krishna consciousness movement. There may be many obstacles, but they can all be transcended by Krishna's mercy. We only have to be determined in our devotion. The rest will follow. This is the essence of Lord Kapila's instructions to his mother.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama.
This ends the narration of Teachings of Lord Kapila, son of Devahuti. It was written by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. The Hare Krishna mantra heard at the beginning and the end of each chapter was sung by Srila Prabhupada and his disciples. The musical selections, mixing, and engineering were under the direction of Neil Schlachter, and the director and narrator of this production was Amala Bhakta Das. This has been a Krishna Productions presentation. The text of the book was copyrighted by the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust in 1977. The performance and recording were copyrighted by Amala Bhakta Das in 1991, and all rights are reserved by both parties. We hope you have enjoyed listening to this narration. If you would like to listen to other such transcendental recordings, please write or phone for our catalog. Thank you for allowing us to share with you the glorious enlightening words of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who descended from the spiritual world to the earth to teach all humanity how to taste and relish the nectar of devotion and thereby realize God through loving service to Him. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Rama